I'm Christopher Zweig, and this week on CJ at the Movies, I got a batch of new films, including Pedro Almodovar's latest short film, and 2 courtroom dramas with names like Kiefer Sutherland and Jamie Foxx. Let's take a look. Our first movie is Strange Way of Life, Pedro Almodovar's latest short film, which may not be as fresh as his previous short film, The Human Voice, but is still worthy of your time. Pedro Pascal plays a traveler who returns to a small western town, while Ethan Hawke plays his old sheriff lover who knows he isn't here for a little romance.
You never loved me. You never loved anyone in your life. Don't say that.
Years ago, you asked me what 2 men could do living together on a ranch. I'll answer you now.
The poster for Strange Way of Life makes this look like a commercial film, especially when it looks bright and colorful, but the short itself is darker and more complex. It's the inside that distinguishes itself, especially by the performances from the 2 leading men. The story seems a bit rushed given its half-hour mark, but it still has something for Almodovar fans, so check it out. Our next movie is The Royal Hotel, an Australian thriller about 2 young American women who travel to the outback looking for work and find themselves in a shabby bar. Julia Garner and Jessica Henwick play the 2 young travelers, while Hugo Weaving plays their new boss, who couldn't be less responsible.
Red is Redlands.
Honey's in his hand.
You get him a beer. Why'd you want to come all the way out here?
It was the furthest away.
Garner is smarter than Henwick is because the former feels threatened by the drunken behaviors of her customers while the latter makes up excuses, especially when the C word is dropped. And it doesn't matter where it's said, it's still the C word.
I'm scared of everyone and everything in this place.
Make what you can. Get on the bus and go.
In her first film since The Assistant, which also starred Garner, writer-director Kitty Green expresses the fears and stress of young women in dangerous territories. Garner and Henwick both deliver the goods in the notions of one of them actually being right about their pathos and the main drunks being unlikable. Even if everyone doesn't get the same amount of development, you're still wondering where this is heading into. Definitely check this one out. Up next is Totally Killer, a slasher comedy that enters Back to the Future and Terminator territory. It tells the story of the Sweet 16 killer who wears a mask that looks like Max Headroom and murdered a bunch of girls back in 1987, including the first victim who was just celebrating her Sweet 16, hence the name, the Sweet 16 Killer. Kieran Shipka plays a teenager whose mother, played by Julie Bowen, gets slaughtered by that killer, making her the first victim in over 3 decades, and her best friend has developed a time machine out of a photo booth. She becomes his next target and ends up back in the year 1987 before he can strike.
Excuse me, what year is it? 1987? Oh my god. I know. The 80s are almost over and I haven't even tried Coke yet. I don't know.
It becomes complicated for her to warn people about the killer's upcoming slaughterings for obvious reasons. One of them regards the fact that people are supposed to be living in reality, and the other regards her mother, who back then used to be a snooty, mean shrew, played by Olivia Holt.
Off and die.
Jesus, Mom. Mamacita. Ay. Ay, ay, ay. Mamacita.
The mean behaviors get a little over the top, but still Totally Killer has a near similar vibe as Freaky or Happy Death Day, especially by today's tones and standards. It has a good sense of humor, but it also features some consistency and a smart young lady, nicely played by Shipka, who knows the stakes of Back to the Future and doesn't want her teenage parents to make it to third base just yet. It's a little underdeveloped, but it's got some good stuff in it, so check it out. Next up, we have the Caine Mutiny Court-Martial, the last movie, directed by the late great William Friedkin, and also the latest film version of the Caine Mutiny story, which got adapted into a play, and stars Kiefer Sutherland as a destroyer captain with mental problems who accuses his lieutenant Jake Lacey of mutiny after taking command of the ship to get their men out of a storm. Jason Clarke is his lawyer.
I'm going to win this case. I have a chance with one heroic exec. Making that stick is the only chance for you to win.
Sutherland and Clarke respectively give brilliant speeches, and both the late Lance Reddick as the judge and Monica Raymond as the prosecutor have the right kind of searing vibes. This may not top the magic of the 1954 classic, but it still has the right kind of performances and words to keep us involved. We're always going to remember Friedkin and Reddick for what they have respectively brought to the entertainment world, and the Caine Mutiny Court-Martial is definitely something to see if you missed them. And our last movie is another courtroom drama on the show called The Burial, which stars Jamie Foxx as the rich and outspoken attorney Willie E. Gary, who is asked to defend the funeral director and World War II vet Jeremiah O'Keefe, played by Tommy Lee Jones, who intends to sue the Lowen Funeral Home Company after a contract dispute. This true story is set in 1995, and the trial will feature African-American jurors and a judge, and so both parties believe that hiring black lawyers will guarantee their winnings.
Y'all come on in.
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Gary. Let me introduce you to my Allred.
How do you feel about working with black folk?
I suppose I am a little prejudiced.
Did you meet my team?
I'm Chris.
Deshaun.
Reggie Douglas. Gentlemen.
That's Alan Ruck along with Mamadou Afi as O'Keefe's fellow lawyers, Bill Camp as the defendant, and Journey Smollett as his lawyer.
Did it ever bother you?
Oh, the hypocrisy, the hypocrisy.
You sit your ass down.
Objection, Your Honor.
Even if the screenplay gets a little cynical, The Burial is still able to offer the same dialogue and tone as the Caine Mutiny Court-Martial, but it focuses more on the issue of race and injustice. The cast knows the stakes and expresses the right kind of realism, and they're directed well by Maggie Bells. Even though I haven't heard of this true story, I was still eager to know how this courtroom drama will go down, so check it out. Okay, recapping this week's new movies: thumbs up for Strange Way of Life, thumbs up for The Royal Hotel, thumbs up for Totally Killer, thumbs up for the Caine Mutiny Court-Martial, and thumbs up for The Burial. Well, those are the movies I'm reviewing this week. I'm Christopher Zweig. Stay safe, and I'll see you at the movies. For more amazing content, please like and subscribe to my channels, and please read my reviews at cjatthemovies.com and download the new HD Radio app.